Okay, welcome everyone. We're in week 2 of our online workshop. And in week 1, as you know, we covered the planning stage, which we needed to get really clear on the market research. And really specifically, we need to know what that focus keyword phrase is before we move into this week, which we're now in preparation. And in preparation, the objectives here are we're going to help you write a compelling title, create a storyboard outline, and a script for this hot topic. And this is all in preparation for eventually you do an online media interview, whether that is a podcast or a live cast or a webcast or however you find yourself presenting your material online. It's really key at this point in time, if you've done the work from the previous week and built out your worksheet, that you're starting to get clear on at least one primary topic. So again, we're really focusing on what we call the focus keyword phrase. And this is a term that we use to do the deep dive when we use terms like, or use tools like Google search and some of these other Google suggest tools, really to drill down deep to get really familiar with our market and our topic. Because now what we're going to do is we're going to go into writing a compelling, attention-grabbing, keyword-loaded title on that hot topic. And we're also going to create a storyboard outline and script for your media message using, I know we all like this, free tools. Remember, we like to focus on simplicity and free. If you don't need to spend additional money, that's great. These are still powerful tools that we'll use. So let's go ahead and get started with this very 3 specific things we're going to do in this week is titles, scripting, and storyboarding. Now your action step here is with your market and topic in mind, I want you to begin to research a list of potential hot titles for your online interview as a basis for your script and storyboarding. If you have no idea what I'm referring to when I say scripting and storyboarding, no problem, bear with me. I'll explain it. It's very simple. I know these are terms you often hear in Hollywood, in production. We're going to just dumb it down so it's so absolutely simple. But here's just a review of what we've done from the beginning. We've identified a hot market. We now know what our hot topic is, or at least we're in the process of drilling down and getting clear on that. And then we're going to build out this hot title. And then we're actually going to build our media content based on a very simple formula of Q&A. I mean, think about it. Isn't every interview, either if you're serving the role of host or guest, isn't it really just questions and answers? That's all it is. So the simplest way to prepare for an online media interview is craft a number of questions that you would like to be asked, and then build responses based on those questions and try to keep those responses under 3 minutes. And really the target, the sweet spot we're looking for is 1 to 3 minutes. So for every question that's asked, craft a response that's about 1 to 3 minutes in length. Now, I know that typically that's not the way an interview rolls. And often the host will interrupt you. They'll often ask you questions over top of your answers, and you may have to shift gears. But we'll be flexible, no problem. But the starting point is that we've actually scripted this response to a specific question so that when we go into next week in practice, we're going to practice those responses extemporaneously. Now, I don't want you to go into your interviews completely scripted. That's not the purpose of this. The purpose is just to get really, really comfortable with your response, your answer, your subject material. If you can script that out in the language that you would like to use, and then when you go to practice your interview, I simply want to have you go completely extemporaneous, means you just know your stuff and the words will flow in a very natural way. Because to be scripted in a media interview often is going to come across very stiff. And we have worked with a lot of clients that want to script, and in the end, what we end up doing and what Maria often ends up doing is asking them questions that they're not expecting, because it's the only way that we're able to get somebody away from looking inauthentic, looking stiff, looking rehearsed. So that's your work right now, is to actually craft at least 3 questions and 3 responses, 1 to 3 minutes, and script it initially, but we're later going to go completely extemporaneous, where you're not going to look at the script. We're just going to actually use bullet points on a presentation slideshow. Okay, so let's give you some homework, and let's start with the titles. When we're creating a hot title, there's a number of rules, guidelines to follow, and they're listed right here. But you could actually go to an article that has all this information in, and it also includes 100 plus blog post title templates. This is great because you could just immediately scan this list and see if there's something that you can just fill in the blanks that works for you. I love this because it just often takes the guesswork out of it. These titles have already been crafted from usually high traffic blogs, and they're designed to grab attention. So again, just quick notes. You want to use catchy adjective words. Numbers are always great. It's amazing if you go to a site like copyblogger.com, which we'll have that information in the resource section for you. But if you go to copyblogger.com, look at what their top articles are, and you'll notice almost all of them are the 7 tips, the 3 steps. This stuff works. If you put a number in your title, it becomes very powerful because to the audience, it seems tangible. As soon as you tell me the 3 action steps or the 3 must know or the magical 5-step formula, it's something tangible. It's something I feel like I can consume, and I can probably get some instant results from it. Okay, also popular search queries include how to anything is popular. And then it says, I'm not sure what this is, watch is, this is probably maybe a typo or something. Well, we'll check that in the article to see what that means. Okay, keep it short and focused. If you can't jam everything in that you'd like to say in your title, use a subtitle. Okay, that's important. Keep your titles short and focused on the message that you're going to be including in the interview. And never mislead. This is not a time to do bait and switch. You'll turn people off really quickly if they get attracted to your title, click on your content, and start to watch the interview and notice that it's nothing to do with what the title says. So be careful with that. Don't limit yourself. This is expanded upon in the article, so I encourage you to read the article. And then let's go ahead and drop in the link to that. Let me bring you to the article. I have it open here. Okay, so it's this one right here. And I'm going to drop the link into chat for you right now so you can have access to that. Okay, give me a thumbs up if you are receiving that link to this article. Good, you got it? Excellent. Okay, now look, here's the 6 quick tips. You can go ahead and peruse that. But this right here, blog post title templates. Look, this should just get your creative juices flowing because these are all great titles. Look, there's some how-to titles, the ultimate guide, advanced guide, beginner's guide, the anatomy of, here's all the numbers. You can just, so there's different formats. There's tutorial guides, there's lists, Remember, these make great blog posts, but they also make great media interviews, especially if you're doing like an interview on a educational podcast, something along those lines. You got tips, different questions. There you go. So that's a very valuable article that can get you going right away on building that out. Okay, let's go back to our presentation. And what I want to show you now, scripting. Okay, I have a short video that talks about the benefits of scripting.
I know a lot of people who shoot nonfiction videos without a script. They might just have some notes and some scenes that they want to get. And I am amazed by this because I can't imagine going out into the field and shooting without some kind of document, some kind of blueprint for what I'm trying to accomplish in the edit. So I'm a big fan of scripting before you shoot. That doesn't mean you're going to have everything turn out exactly how you thought it would on paper, particularly if you're working with real people on camera. But at least it gives you some kind of guidepost. And I'll tell you what I've found to be some of the real benefits of scripting before you shoot. First, you can really maximize your impact because you're much more laser focused on why different components of the script are there and how they connect to the things we've talked about, motivating viewers and what the goals are for the project. The other thing that it does for you when you have a script in advance is you can increase your creative opportunities. So rather than locking you into something, it gives you a framework to kind of maneuver within. And so I find that actually I take advantage of that in the field when I'm switching hats from scriptwriter to producer. The other thing it helps me with is to avoid costly mistakes. When I script in advance, I find that I'm suddenly realizing, oh, there's a scene missing here, there's a setting missing here, there's an establishing shot missing here. And so that's going to help me in the long run. The other thing you can uncover is other kinds of image needs or content needs, things that maybe you could fill in with archival content or pre-existing content. You can also target your outcomes better if you have something to go on before you go out into the field. Also, you can plan for multiple platforms. You might be able to have a couple different branches of the script or different versions, a short version and a long version. So all of those things are things that require a little bit of planning up front. And finally, you always want to future-proof. In this business, where we're shooting on different formats every day and new cameras are coming out, new edit systems, it's always important to think about how can we future-proof this project as much as possible. So that's something that you can do up front before you ever start rolling any footage. These are just some of the things you can think about and make a decision about whether or not it makes sense to script before you shoot.
All right, let's go back to our presentation. Now, again, scripting can be pretty simple. The app that we're going to use here is whatever you want. If you do it on a piece of paper or you want to do it on Notepad or Microsoft Word or Google Docs, it's just right now getting some languaging down of the actual questions. And these are, remember, these questions are based on the market research that you did. You're wanting to find the hot topics, or in our case, subtopics. So once you've identified your hot topic, what makes up that hot topic? What are the 3 most important things that if you were to talk about that people would really, really be interested in? I want you to think about that right now, and I want you to start crafting at least 3 questions around that and building the response and scripting out that response. And next week, when we get into practice, we're gonna team up in groups, and we're gonna practice being the host and the guest. We're gonna interview each other, so you'll get some practice doing your responses extemporaneously. Now let's go ahead and discuss now storyboarding. Now the action step here is to create a storyboard using the app of your preference. And we're going to watch a 6-minute video that outlines what storyboarding is. But for the purpose of preparing for an online media interview, this doesn't have to get real technical. We're going to keep it very simple. And as simple right now as I would say, use a presentation slideshow software, whether that's Microsoft PowerPoint or Google Sheets, and use that to create your storyboard. And storyboard's just a visual representation of the script that we just created. So once you got your 3 questions, you can actually create 3 different slides, or you might want to have a slide for each question and then a slide for a response. And then you're going to put some kind of visual representation on that. And again, it doesn't have to be an app, it could be a napkin. It could be a piece of paper right now where you're going to draw a little picture like we see in this little picture here. It's just it could be a doodle art picture, and all it is a visual representation of the essence of the topic. So the essence of the Q&A, you're going to create some kind of visual prompt. And the bullet points that we're going to create from the script is actually going to be part of the storyboard. So if you have 3 questions, 3 answers, you can actually bullet point the content on a presentation slide. So it's available to you as a prompt when we go into practice. You remember, for those of you that are coming to Las Vegas with us, we focus on one type of showcase for the purpose of your interview. But remember, there are many. I want to show you this list because there's many things that you should consider when you're storyboarding your content. When you have an opportunity to do multiple interviews, and each time you want to target a different aspect of your business or your life, you may consider things like an interview for your business, or it might be for your charity, or it might be for an upcoming event, or if you're an indie artist, it might have something to do with music and film, or a speaker. If you just won a recent award and you want to highlight your accomplishments, that's a celebrity showcase. If you're an entertainer and you want to showcase your show or your gig, again, many of us here are experts. You want to showcase your expertise. If you're releasing a new product, such as a book, or you got something coming down the line, a course, this might be another opportunity for you to talk about that in the media. And finally, the one I love is the success showcase, where you just tell your story, your rise. People love telling their stories about struggle and where they came from. And so one of the formulas that works really well, if you want to, for the purpose of your practice next week, a formula that is really fun to practice with is the success showcase formula, which is often the template is past, present, and future. So an example of the 3 questions that I could ask for a success showcase would be, question number 1 would be, who are you? What have you done? And that gives you an opportunity to respond to say, this is my background. And you tell your story about what you've done in the past. So past, present, and future. So question number 2 would be, what are you currently doing? What projects are you working on? What businesses are you involved in? What charities are you involved in? This is an opportunity to ask a question about what you're currently doing. And then the 3rd question would be, so what's next for you? Which is future focused. So what's next for you? What are you up to? What are your plans? And this is an opportunity for you to talk about your vision, your mission, your passions, or upcoming projects, upcoming events. So if you want to build something around a success showcase, that's one formula. It's only one formula. You can, like I say, you can right now take your topic, that hot topic that you have, and remember, considering the hungry market, and find a title and apply it to one of these types of showcases and build your Q&A around one of these types of showcases. Because if you're thinking of it from the perspective of a showcase, you think of it as, how do I want to be showcased? Which is a great starting point to building out your content, your Q&A. Okay, so let's go ahead and watch a video on storyboarding, just so you get an idea of what a storyboard looks like. But again, this is not complicated. Storyboards can be very complex in Hollywood. They use them to create movies, but for our purposes, it's very simple. So let's go ahead and watch the video on storyboarding.
Once you've decided on a theme for your presentation and you've got everything ready to go, now it's time to actually start assembling the presentation into its own structure. And for this, we create a storyboard. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this movie, how to create a storyboard. Now, there are a few things that I want you to understand on why we do this step, because most people would just say, okay, I've got all my information, I've got my theme, I just want to aggregate it all together in one big pile. Well, we do this so that we can visualize the structure of the presentation. By developing a storyboard, you can actually move pieces around and change things without doing any damage to the presentation itself. It's sort of like visualizing before you attack. It also allows you to determine the storyline for the presentation, setting the beginning, middle, and end point. And as we know, telling a story during a presentation is very important for keeping the audience's attention, no matter what the subject matter. It also allows you to visually map out the slides. As I said, you can actually move these things around physically. Let's say you do every different slide on a separate sheet of paper, or you have different templates that you use that are magnetic on a whiteboard or something like that. You can actually just move things around, changing the structure visually, making it easier to just touch the information rather than having to visualize it in your head. This helps get it out in the open where you or someone else can help to actually craft and construct this idea. I want you to think of storyboards as a sketch pad. This is where all of your ideas just sort of flow out of your mind and they hit the wall. And on that wall, you take everything that's stuck to it and then you just sort of rearrange it until it makes sense. That's what storyboards are all about. You just take whatever the idea is. For the intro slide, for instance, okay, I want my name here, my picture here, etc. And then you just kind of sort of work through that process and get everything mapped out exactly where you want it. It should also be noted that there is no right or wrong way to do this. Everyone's going to have their own way. I have a way that works for me. You should find a way that works for you and make it so. Now, I also want you to understand that you should be using just basic tools for this storyboard. You don't need to go into Photoshop or Illustrator or anything like that. Although you could absolutely do it in a program like that, but it sort of defeats the purpose. In this case, we're talking about whiteboards, notebook paper, even tablet drawing apps if you have an iPad or something like that, and of course the tried and true method of just sketching stuff out on napkins. Keeping things basic makes it easier for you to focus on the ideas coming out of your head and not so much the tools that you'll be using to do that. You should just grab whichever one of these or whatever is closest to you in a room when you have these ideas and just start sketching them out. That's the purpose of the storyboard, just to sort of say, okay, I've got this sheet of paper here. I'm just going to go ahead and write down what I want on this slide and then just stick it up on the board, on the whiteboard, or wherever it might be going. Or, you just grab a marker, go to the whiteboard, and do it that way. Just using basic tools keeps the ideas flowing and, like I said, keeps your mind focused on what you're doing, not how you're doing it. Here is an example of a storyboard that I did recently for a sales presentation. So you can see here that it's just basically markers on a whiteboard. I've got a box simulating each one of the slides, and I just tell the story through arrows. So we've got a title, then we go to About Me, then we go to an agenda, then we go all the way down. Okay, we're talking about what happened in Q3, what did we do in Q3, and what type of goals did we set moving into Q4 targets. Okay, here's the goals that we had set. Okay, here's our results, Q4 results. That flows down to, all right, who was the top dog salesman? All right, now that we've rounded that out, what do we want to see next year from the company? And then finally, okay, now that we've done really well this year and we've set our goals for next year, let's talk about how we're going to relax at the company retreat. And then finally, we conclude out with some sort of conclusion. So this is just a basic outline of my presentation. It's the first step in outlining my presentation. And I've got the flow, I've got the structure, I've got all of the key points that I need to cover. And so I got all of that out right here in the whiteboard. And I can now translate this into some sort of design application to start putting these slides together. I want you to understand that storyboards aren't complex. They need to be as simple as possible, as you saw before. And also, you can refine them later in other applications. This should be just like a skeleton that you're putting together, and then you're going to take them into another application, Keynote, Photoshop, Illustrator, PowerPoint, whatever it might be, down the road to refine them and turn them into an actual presentation. Here is my proposed workflow for you when you're actually creating a full-fledged presentation. This is after you've developed your theme and all that stuff we've been talking about so far. You start on a whiteboard, a napkin, something like that. You just sketch something out. Then you're going to refine that in a design application. You're going to put the images together, the text together, all the stuff that needs to flow and look pretty. That's going to be inside of the design application. And then finally, you're going to aggregate all of that information into an application like Keynote or PowerPoint or whatever the case may be. The big thing that you need to take away from this is that this is what works for me, and you need to find what works for you. If you don't like sketching out on paper, then don't do it. Do your sketching in an app like Photoshop or using Adobe Ideas on your iPad. If you like to not sketch out at all, you just like to go off the cuff, that's totally fine too. This is, as I said, my proposed workflow, and I encourage you very much so to find what works for you. I also want you to save your storyboards, because saving your storyboards is going to be essential to you down the road, because oftentimes when I'm building a storyboard, if I don't save it, then when I actually go and build the presentation, I start rearranging things based on what I think at the time might look good or something like that. But as long as I save that storyboard, especially with the notes that I have attached to it, it's very useful for me during my review process before I actually finish out the presentation, because of the fact that I can go back to my storyboard, read my notes about it, and say, oh, okay, this is why slide X went ahead of slide Y, or vice versa. And so I can rearrange things based on that storyboard, or I can say, you know what, that really wasn't a good idea in the storyboarding phase. It looks a lot better this way, so we just go from there. But keeping that storyboard all the way through ensures that you have a nice, easily structured presentation from start to finish, and allows you that single review point to understand exactly what you were thinking beforehand all the way to the end of the process. So again, take some time, build your own storyboards, find your own workflow. You'll be really glad you did.
All right. Okay. So that is building a storyboard. Again, you heard it. Keep it simple. We really just want the 3 questions, Q1, Q2, Q3, and A1, A2, A3, and a response 1 to 3 minutes. Here are some additional tools and learning resources that are available to you. There's articles at HubSpot, blog.hubspot.com, e-learning wiki. If you go and want to really explore this in greater detail, you can go to Amazon.com and just go to their book section and search media training. You can get a lot more information on how to prepare yourself for the media, and there's specific sections within a lot of these media training books on how to prepare scripting and storyboarding. So that's just additional for your interest. If you are a paid member of lynda.com, which is now LinkedIn Learning, you can get access to 2 very good courses. And we saw snippets of some video from these full courses: Script Writing for Nonfiction Video by Amy DeLuise, and Video Script Writing by Rick Allen Lippert. And also, as I mentioned, there's a website, copyblogger.com. This is loaded full of great articles on how to determine hot titles, hot topics. It's all based on the concept of blogging, but we can apply everything they teach to media interviews as well. It's also a good place for you to go and see just the type of titles that people are interested in that area. There is also a site, I don't think I have it listed here, zergnet.com. Let me just load it up for you, because I think it could be really helpful. Let me just go to zergnet.com. This is one of those sites that are just designed to get you to jump in on some media outlet around the world, and they use, sometimes it's a little bit bait and switch, which of course we encourage you not to do that. But this is just a place for you to just go and take a look at some of these headlines that are just wanting to get you to click. And then of course, once you click, you're moving off to another media site where that article is hosted on. But I love looking at this because I love the creative use of short titles that are designed to pique interest. So this is just a place for you to just get an idea of what's working. I mean, these are professionals that have crafted these titles that are just designed to get you to click on them. All right, let's go back to our presentation. And I just want to summarize what we learned in this week's workshop. We're helping you write a compelling title, create a storyboard outline and script for your hot topic in preparation for your online media interview. And your assignment then is to create a compelling, attention-grabbing, keyword-loaded title on a hot topic. Create a storyboard outline and script for your media message using free online tools. So if you just want to use a presentation slideshow, go to Google, what is it called now? Google, I forget what it's called. Google Presenter, I think, or something like that. So if you, Google Slides, that's right, thanks. Yeah, if you go to Google Slides, you can just load up, that's what I'm in right now, and you could just create a blank slide and just put question 1. And then you can have a separate slide, response. And you just do that for your work, and then we'll bring that with us for next week when we get involved in the practice. So that's it. So the next step is go to work, do the work. I'm going to come back in a moment on screen so I can do some Q&A with anyone who has questions regarding the content that we covered. But at this point, you got some homework to do. And when we come back next week, you'll at a very minimum have a storyboard presenting those 3 questions, the answers. You'll have a script written out, 1 to 3 minutes long, and you'll be ready to start preparing your extemporaneous responses in a group practice setting. So we're going to have a lot of fun next week. We're going to get an opportunity to put on our host and guest hats, and we're going to rotate out and get a lot of practice in being on camera, being interviewed on that particular topic. So on that note, thank you, and we'll see you next week. And we'll do a Q&A for anybody that has any questions before I let you go. If you need to go, that's fine. You can go, and you can certainly fire off questions to us via email. But if there's anything that we want to tackle right now, I'm available to you. If you want to get any clarification on everything we covered in this week's presentation. Let's start with you, William.
Sure.
Tell us what's going on right now. Tell us what you're working on. Tell us what your keyword. Tell us what your focus keyword phrase is and what you're finding as a result of doing the deep dive and what you're going to do next.
Well, cool. Thanks for the question, Ray. What was really interesting when I was doing this work is I was thinking as the authorities in the transformational industry, you know, the Bob Proctors, Mary Morrissey, Tony Robbins, etc. And because these are the people I had in mind. And I was thinking of targeting the audience that are purpose-driven entrepreneurs. And I realized that the focus keyword I was thinking on working first was brand consultant. However, nobody wants a brand consultant. They want what the brand consultant will give to you. That is a brand strategy. So it was obvious when you are looking through Google that a lot of people type in brand consultant, but 3 times more type of brand strategy. So brand strategy was a pretty great way to start. However, it's already brand strategy is very broad. It's a very broad keyword. It's very useful, but very broad. Since my focus keyword is visual story branding, visual storytelling. And again, there is not only one keyword, there is a set of keywords that create a kind of architecture, the architecture of your brand revolving around your different keywords that are affiliations of images that are going to pop up in the mind of people when they are going to think of these keywords. So visual storytelling is one of my main keywords. Everything that will help people build their brand story with images, with a documentary, with photography, with something that's visual. Because the brand is at the same time a mix of words and visuals. It can have only one or the other, but powerful brands are created with both together. And since I'm more a visual person, I wanted to find what would be the most relevant keywords for me. So visual storytelling was a pretty good fit.
Now, I love that. Now, you started off as you mentioned, brand consulting, pretty general, not really exciting, not really packed with a lot of emotion. But however, what you did is you drilled a little deeper. You found something that was a subset of brand consulting. It's a subset of branding, but it tied in with what your expertise is. What you did was you actually took your photography, which you have years and years of experience creating world-class photography. But if you presented yourself as a photographer, because you could have certainly did searches on photography, you become a commodity. You could easily become a commodity because now you're out there trying to market yourself as a photographer, and that is highly competitive. So what you did is you didn't take your trade as the offer. You actually made the offer something much more sexy and much more appealing to, and really, let me ask everyone here, if I say the term visual storytelling, let me ask you, just raise your hand. Are you interested in getting your story out into the media? Raise your hand if you're interested in getting your story. Would you like to get your story out in the media in a way that makes you look good? Okay, that's a no-brainer, right? We want to look good. If somebody like William came along and said, let me tell your story in a visual way that makes you look good so that we can put it in front of the target market, is that something that's of interest to you? I'll say, yeah. What if we put it in front of a market in a mass way? So when we say we want to get our message out to the world, would I be correct to assume that you want to get your message out to the world to make a positive difference? I think we all want that, right? So listen closely, William, because this is what people want. If we put 100 people on right now, I'm pretty convinced that 100 people would raise their hand if we were to say, do you want to get your positive message out to the world to make a positive difference in the world? I think 100 hands would come up. So what you've done is you've taken this general term, brand consulting, and made it sexier by calling it visual storytelling. And with a little subtitle on that now, you have a powerful opportunity to get in front of the media.
Right. And I would add on to that, the difference with a photographer, when people think about photography, is getting really cool pictures. At least, I hope that they will get at least really cool pictures. I think the twist with a visual storyteller is you're going, and you need really cool pictures, but you're going to get really cool pictures captured with a plan. And that's the part of the storyboard, is that it's not going in the field just randomly and leave it to chance. It's think about what kind of images do you want to capture for the story of a person? What is the hero story that you want to capture for them? So it's where you're reverse engineering the process and thinking about, okay, what are we defining first of the images we want to capture, and then produce that instead of trying to get nice pictures and making them fit in the story. So that's I think it's interesting to build this process this way. First, think of a storyboard, capturing pictures with a plan, and then doing the work on the field.
Yeah, well, I'm really, really excited. For those of you who are coming out to Las Vegas, and I think I've mentioned this before, we've actually are working with William, and anybody who's getting interviewed, we are going to be creating a little bit of that storyboard, because William's going to be there taking those photos and making sure it fits inside the interview that we're creating. So you actually will have this B-roll imaging that supports your content, and it just makes it, well, exactly what he's saying. It's visually telling your story in addition to us interviewing you and everything. So we're so grateful. to have this partnership with William and him bringing his expertise to us. So thank you so much.
Okay, my background and my platform for the last 20, 30 years has been authenticity and helping people find and live and share their authentic voice. And I've had trouble with it because I've never had a home for authenticity because it's kind of a broad term. So I thought I found a home 3 months ago when I learned about human rights and saw that my work falls right aligned with human rights. And so human rights, I figured, was my key phrase. So following what Ray shared last week, I did the research. And as I did, what I found out was human rights is a whole lot deeper and more horrible than what I want to deal with. Because everywhere I looked for human rights, I found the abuses that are happening all over the world. And that's not my assignment. That's not what I'm here to do. So a friend of mine, actually I'm going to China soon, and I can't mention human rights in China. And they told me to use the term human dignity. So that just felt better. It just sounded better. And actually I stopped there because I had done a day's work on human rights and stopped, and I didn't have the time to go further. So when Ray and I met yesterday, he actually did some of the Google searches for human dignity. And wow, that fits so nicely with my authenticity, because authenticity, as I see it, is all about helping people be the authentic person that God intended them to be. And we lose track of that, which clearly human rights does. But I'm not here to change what's happening in the Huntu here and the Pakistanis there, and whatever. I'm here to help people recognize their humanity and recognize the gifts and talents that they were born with and help them to use those in the world. And that's where the dignity comes from. So I'm on a whole different path again, and I'm happy about being on this path. And I think as I go down this path, I would probably find more alignment. In fact, I have found more blogs. I haven't had a chance to do much, but I found interesting in the blogs that I found on the first page of Google, there's only one blog from this year. All the other blogs are from 2018. And with Ray's help yesterday, we did find that there are a lot of organizations, a lot of people dealing with human dignity. So I think where it stands today, at this point in time, at this moment, human dignity looks like that's the area where I'm going from. But who knows what the next week will bring when I continue to do the research. So thank you, Ray.
Well, you're very welcome, Norma. And let's also take the advantage of having a focus group here, because you can get immediate feedback on that term. So folks, if you can imagine yourself right now that you're a top level executive of a media company and Norma approaches you with a topic, and we don't need to be concerned about the title yet, because that's what we're working on in this week, find that hot title. But just on the keyword phrase alone, if she was to approach you either online through email or in person on telephone and present the idea of being interviewed on the topic, human rights, I just want to get your feedback on how that would feel to you, and if there's any concern that you would have on that topic. So anyone want to offer any insight as to the term human rights, what that would lead you to think or feel before knowing anything about the actual content?
For human rights, I guess I think of demonstrations, human trafficking, abuse, slavery, that kind of thing. It seems to be much broader term. Having lived in China, I understand the issues that she's dealing with there, and my mind goes to a whole lot of different things. People maiming themselves for begging purposes, that they can get more money to beg from, and that being encouraged, even children. So my mind goes in a lot of different directions, but it goes very negatively.
That's a key word, negatively. Now, Karen, as a network executive, would you be concerned about the risk involved in bringing that topic to your network, especially if your network already has a brand, let's say a positive brand? Would that be a concern? And are you thinking about the possibility of losing some viewerships as a result of bringing that content to you?
Well, I've never been a network executive, but I guess
we're just role playing.
I would think that, there's an awful lot of stuff out there.
Yes.
I think it would be hard for her to distinguish herself in that way. There's a lot of news stories that are always coming up. So it's like, oh, how are you going to top that? I mean, what would be the real uniqueness of bringing her on?
Yes.
That's where my mind would go to.
Okay, let me add to that too, and welcome Susan to the workshop, and Keba. Hi, if you're just joining us right now, what we're doing right now is we're just recapping on the importance of what we learned last week on getting that market research done and nailing that topic, that hot topic, the one that's not going to get you into trouble, or the one that's going to serve you the best. Now, if you haven't caught the beginning of this, please go back to the replay and watch it because it's very powerful. Norma had an experience where I got on the phone with her yesterday and she was looking for a term, she was looking at the term human rights. And with doing a little bit of online research, we realized that another term would probably serve her much better and is in much better alignment with her brand, and that's human dignity. Now, I want you to all think about what we're doing here right now, because if you don't get that topic nailed, it could change the trajectory of your business. And all of the media content that you're going to create in week number 2 is going to be based on that keyword topic. And we call that the focus keyword phrase. So for Norma, it's human dignity.
May I share something, Ray?
I'm sorry?
May I share something on human
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead, Willa.
Just for Norma, I think it's amazing that she found the human dignity, because when you think about human rights, I think of the other side of the coin, human wrong. And you know, if you're right about something, you assume that other people are wrong. However, if you think about human dignity, everybody wants human dignity without criticizing a party or the other one. So I think it's it's a broader term that everybody can, feel their identity in it. It's like in the army, you can't be old and bored at the same time. In France, they say a lot of people who go to the cemetery are right people. So it's not always good being right. It's not always the most important being right. It's who is being left at the end of the day, you know. And human dignity is something that's more acceptable for everybody.
Thank you, Will. And here's the general. I think we all agree that the term human dignity makes us feel warm and fuzzy. It's a positive term, and human rights makes us a little bit fearful. It can make us angry. It can get very political. So I love this example because it just reinforces what I'm constantly telling people that are authorities in their business. Often people think they know what they should be talking about. And I often say, listen, you're probably so determined to speak on this topic because you're passionate about it. But remember, passion is only one part of the formula. The bigger part of the formula is there a market that wants to hear the message or needs to hear the message? Now, clearly, there is a market that needs to hear about human rights, but there's also a market that needs to hear about human dignity. So clearly, it's just a matter of, it's not one is right or wrong. It's just a matter of one that's in more alignment with you and your brand and your message. So if you have done the work from the previous week and building out the workshop, I created this separate video which helps simplify the actual process of the workshop. So if you haven't watched that, go ahead and watch that. But what it does is it allows you to do a deep dive on the topic. And by doing a deep dive on the topic, you're able to build out all those columns of the workshop very quickly just by the nature of clicking through all of the sites. But what's also becoming very clear to you is what the market actually is interested in. And you're also in the process going to see some really hot titles of other people's products and services. And so these experts that are all communicating on the topic that you are interested in speaking on have all, through trial and error, found what works. They found what the market wants. And often we have that information available by doing that initial research to find a hot topic without having to be all creative and coming up with our own. So many times, and you're going to learn that in this presentation, is many times in the research, you're just going to find the title that just is absolutely perfect for what you actually want to speak about in the media. And you'll confirm that by looking at the number of YouTube views or the page rank on it or something. So,
hey Ray.
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to kind of set the precedence here. I just received a couple messages asking if you're going to be addressing particular questions, because I did say that would be the case, especially with Sohaila yesterday.
Yes.
So this is like the opportunity. If you have a specific question about what, like what Ray did with Norma, you have this opportunity to be very specific about your topic. And the interesting thing here is we do have quite a forum of people to kind of provide input, as we did for Norma. So I think, Norma, you feel like you're on the right path. It's positive. That's who you are. You're about human dignity is really what you're about. So if anybody wants to begin, Ray, you can take it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you have any questions, Sohaila?
Okay, well, I was still trying to find that spreadsheet and I still can't find it. It's really weird. The link that you sent me still doesn't work for me for some reason. So, but I did a lot of my own market research anyways, because I have a few things. I help women through fitness and dance. And so my path was different ways, because I do a sensual woman program and then I do sensual woman retreats. But what I'm trying to get out there is my Nouveau Fitness, which is a multicultural inspired fitness class. It takes you around the world in 45 minutes with all different dance genres. But that's what I'm trying to get out there. And I've done my research from literally 12 years of research of my dancers telling me what they're looking for in fitness and dance and what were the pros and the cons. And so I did this whole workbook, a worksheet. I did a Nouveau versus Zumba research as well. So I've done a lot. It's just now getting it out there and taking it to the executives and showing them what I have. But unfortunately, my numbers, I don't have numbers to prove, because I do have a couple of instructors, but nothing significant, because it's really hard to get it out there. And so that was my issue. And so that's why when I was looking for that spreadsheet to go, look at the blogs and things like that, but it's all, Zumba is number one. And what I want to do is literally surpass Zumba. That's my goal. So,
great.
But again, taking it out to the right people. I mean, I've tried taking it to 24-hour fitness, but the thing is with that, I have to actually take it to the top level. And somebody that will actually listen.
Yeah, and that's media. Media is it's nice to know exactly who you need to target and go after those decision makers. And Maria and I do that very well. We work with our clients for that purpose. We believe in going to the influencers and getting the decisions so that we can get the results that we're looking for. There's a much broader approach that many people take, which is build big lists and get in front of a lot of people. Well, we do that well, but we do that as well, but we don't do it literally by building massive lists of people, because that could be very untargeted. What we do is we go to targeted media outlets, because then you don't have to sift and sort through all those people. They will come to you. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. If you have 1,000 people listening to your podcast, you don't want to individually contact all those 1,000 people through some random method, SEO or whatever, to have a conversation and spend your time with tire kickers. So the media gives you an opportunity to present your story and then ask for a call to action. That call to action is we're usually having somebody contact you. And many of the times those people that contact you are the decision makers. They are the right people. They're the ones that you're going to be doing deals with. So yeah, we're going to do all that. That's the whole purpose of this workshop, is getting clear on that. But right now, I'd like to know, what is your focus keyword phrase that you want to do? Oh, by the way, I'll directly email you the link to that workshop, the spreadsheet. Not sure why it's not clicking. The link is actually on the replay page at the bottom, but no problem. I'll send it directly to you. And if anyone else does not have that spreadsheet, let us know and we'll send that to you. But when you do the work on the spreadsheet, what focus keyword phrase do you plan on starting with? And it could be more than one.
Probably dance and fitness. You know, that's what I'm trying to target, people that loves to have dance in their life and fitness together, not just one or the other. I want people to have a workout that's fun, low impact, high energy, but they walk away with simple tools and strategies that they could take in their everyday life and just make them feel happy and vibrant and full of energy.
Okay, everyone, if you're listening, do you hear all the benefits that she just mentioned in all that language she just used? Tell us again from the beginning, fun, and tell us all those descriptive terms, what you just described, dance and fitness, because dance and fitness is too general. It's too general. You're just going to start searching on that and you're going to get all kinds of stuff.
Okay, so belly dance.
Okay, there we go. Belly dance.
So
now.
I want to cater to dancers, or actually anybody that wants to even try belly dancing, men as well as women belly dance. And so it could be for
men. Okay,
they do.
Listen, everyone. Again, put on your media executive hats. If you were approached right now by Sohaila and she said, I would like to speak about men belly dancing, would that be something really unique? Would that be something
I'd like to see?
You probably haven't heard, right? It wasn't the thing that crosses your desk on a regular basis. So that might be something that say, oh, wow, wait, whoa, hold on, I've never heard of that. Tell me more. It's a hook. So the hook could get you on a podcast, to get you into the studio. The hook, and then from there, once you're in, you can expand it to the other venues, whatever it is that you want to expand from male belly dancing to the other things that you're offering. You understand what I'm saying? Is you create a unique, interesting hook to get somebody saying, I would love to have you as a guest on my show. And then you take some control over that interview. And there, you can do that if you know how to do it. You can take some control over that interview and get your message out. Okay.
I'm kind of intrigued by her use of sensual earlier and sexy. There
you go.
Sensual, exotic moves, a unique experience.
Sensual swing and strength or something. I don't know. Whatever. But
well, the good thing with this is as well, it's multicultural. So I literally take dances from around the world. I've traveled around the world dancing. So everywhere I went, I took classes from the best of the best. So I'm taking those concepts and I portray them and I literally dance it out in a multicultural setting with different dance pieces from around the world too. So that's why it's multicultural. I have African, I have Peruvian, Ecuadorian, Puerto Rican, Latin, American, just all varieties of music, you know, to take you around the world in 45 minutes. Now, of course, my routines have different strategies. It has Greek, it has Arabic, of course, but it's all infused with belly dancing. And so that's why it's an all over body workout for men and women. And so my motto is every body can dance. So it's not everybody, it's every body. So I get every body moving. So yeah, you know, Tahiti, Hawaiian, it's a lot of fun. Indian, so I have it all up in there.
Okay, you're on the right path right now, and this today, what the work that we're going to do is going to help really clarify that messaging and probably give you a number of ideas on different topics within that genre. Did you want to say something, William?
Yeah, I was thinking when she was sharing that, you know, something down the lines, experience high energy work, like traveling the world, traveling around the world, experiencing other cultures in a fun way with other cool people, because that's you're giving people an experience with other cultures in one space, doing something fun and dancing. And at the same time, like if they were traveling around the world, you can experience Indian dancing, African dancing, and all in one place, you know, and speak about the feelings more than the features, speaking about what people are going to feel when they are dancing with you, you know.
It's almost like an Epcot Center sort of vision to me.
I agree. It gives you the round the world feel to it. I want to make sure that everybody understands that we have William with us right now. William is not only a client of ours, but he works directly with our clients at our Media Showcase mentorship programs in Las Vegas. So William, being a world-class photographer, knows how to capture people's stories using visual branding. And I know he's really, really excited right now because I can see it on his face about what Sohaila is doing. Because am I right, William? That's something that if you were to capture using photography, you could tell a powerful story that would be able to bring all those descriptive terms that you used, Sohaila. So let's take advantage of the value that we have with the people that are on right now. William, please give some direct professional advice to Sohaila on what she's working on right now, because I know you're the expert in that.
Well, I would say I would share something with, I did a lot of photography about dancing in India. And when you look at the Indian girls and the outfits they are in, it's beautiful. It's very colorful. And when I see the outfits that are behind your studio, we're having a little peek at it, I can see you're using a lot of colors, beautiful dresses, and things like that. And when you see these dancers, they use very big movements. So it's all a big splash of color that people are absorbing through their eyes and and through their five senses. It's a five senses experience when you're looking and listening to people dancing at the same time. So for sure, you want to share that story to people when you're going to speak about your belly dance class, because they are going to have this having a bite, of what you are doing. It's like there's this metaphor of, Apple is a big brand, and when you ask people, what is the taste of the apple? It's not easy for people to share, okay, why are so many people buying Apple computers? And, because they're not buying computers, they are buying an experience. The same thing with the cars, BMW, Mercedes, or things like that. They're not selling cars, they're selling an experience. McDonald's is the same thing, they're selling an experience. That's why it works everywhere in the world. So when you when you speak about your brand, instead of speaking about the features, mostly you want to speak about the experience and the benefits people will have when they will experience what you're doing with them. And you're using a lot of colors, beautiful outfits, so that's very powerful.
Great, thanks, Will. So Sohaila, start with belly dancing, and then for the purpose of the worksheet, and then you can expand and use a number of other descriptive terms to explore that in greater detail. Karen, would you like to share your focus keyword phrase, the topic that you're looking to explore further?
The keyword topic that I used was work-life balance. There's a lot out there, but to me that title seems rather flat. And part of what I want to portray, and I'm not sure that that's, like you said, necessarily the topic that gets out there, is that balance is really kind of a misnomer. It's more of an integration and really a defining of your life rather than trying to keep everything, in balance, which is nearly impossible. So I'm trying to figure out what would be some alternative, more descriptive terms that might get at a little bit sexier topic that I can also include, the issues of work-life balance, but really deal more with the women's issues around that topic and corporations' needs for dealing with women in leadership and the specifics that they are working with. Basically being able to help women with being successful in their careers while not having their family life fall apart.
I love that you said that you wanted to take a spin off of something that is almost worn out. work-life balance. I mean, in the corporate market, that has been a hot topic for many years, but it has no sizzle, no pizzazz for the media. If you present that topic, even if you present that topic often in a corporate setting on the stages, it just it's lost its sizzle. If you take, I can't think of the word I'm looking for, the opposite of the norm, not a rebel, but I'm looking for a term. Well, you get the idea what I'm, if you presented, yeah, no, it's more, if you presented the topic as work-life imbalance, you immediately get people go, huh? Because what? And if you can put some kind of a spin on it so that you go against the grain. Mm-hmm. The media loves when you go against the grain. What everybody else is speaking about, speak about the opposite of it and prove that it's true. So here's my take on that is I don't think anybody's in balance, and I don't think anybody will ever be in balance. I don't think we're wired that way. So why are people still speaking on work-life balance? It's because that's the pain that people are feeling, and that's the pain corporations are feeling. So they will pay for that. But here's the thing. If you want to target, especially entrepreneurs, if you target those solopreneurs and those busy moms that are trying to just juggle it all, then take a unique approach that grabs their attention and tell them it's okay to be not in balance or not in balance. It's okay to not be in balance. And if you built something around that and showed them how to be where they need to be in whatever they're in, that would be a really cool message. What I mean by that is there's times that you're going to need to be out of balance in order to get the job done. Mm-hmm. Right? We are dynamic beings. There are times you're just going to need to go into the valley for a while before you go back up the mountain. And I think if you built your research upon that, if you actually did research on work-life balance, but look for the controversial material that's out there, look for the influencers that are actually taking a cool spin on it, and then model some of that, and then make it your own. And I believe that the media will eat that topic up just because it's different, it's unique. It's a fresh perspective on something that has been around for a whole long time. So I want to get feedback from other people on that, because that's my opinion. But again, I want the power of having a focus group provide additional feedback on the keyword phrase work-life balance. What would you want to hear from Karen if she was in an interview? What would you want to hear about that subject?
Well, what is your tagline? So you have work-life balance, but what are you shooting for? Do you have like a tagline?
I haven't really come up with a good tagline yet. Been playing around with a few, but really the idea is to design your life and work around your life, integrate the work into your life. And that's really the premise of everything else that goes along with it. And show people actually how to do that.
Design a balanced life for your life purpose, or balance, design.
To me, I guess to me, the idea of balance is the key word people are searching on. That's my problem when I do the research. But since it's not something that's really part of what I'm going to be discussing or wanting or believe in, like you said, it's really kind of a different twist on it. My challenge is, how do I get the information across? How do I do a good search on the market? But and I still need those keywords in there, like if I'm putting it on my website, if I'm putting content out there that's going to get people who are interested in that particular subject. I guess I'm looking at it more as balance being kind of a zero-sum game, right? If you're in a seesaw, you got one in home life suddenly takes a dive, you got sick parents or whatever, work's going to suffer, and the other way around. And so you wind up playing this, I just need everything to balance out to zero. Well, in a zero-sum game, if your ideal is to get to zero, the winner gets nothing, right? So you're just basically maintaining for the split second that everything's in balance. Like you said, there's always a give and take. But that's looking at things very short-sighted. That's the instant right now. It's not really what's going to get you to where you want to go. So I'm trying to help people look at the long view. In essence, my target market really is the dual career family woman that's mid-level, upper mid-level in her career, or business owner, and who's now dealing with a spouse that has an equally powerful career and demands, possibly is divorced just because it hasn't been working and has all of those things going on with them. So the idea is to prevent that from happening again. And I'm not sure what to search on other than work-life balance at this point. So I don't really know how to pull that stuff together.
Okay, let me help you with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the work that we're going to do this week is going to present a whole lot of titles around that. And you're going to just be able to analyze lots of titles, hundreds of titles, and one is likely going to jump out at you to be the right one. But just from that baseline, I also want you to try to stay away from those titles that are worn out, and we already mentioned some of them. Design the life of your dreams. Like, help you design a life. Like, design what kind of life? A lousy life? I mean, it just doesn't have any pizzazz to it. Help you find your passion. Although these are great things, they're just not really stuff that the media is going to just want to jump in and say, oh, gee, I was looking for that. Those titles are all around us. So we want to make it something really different, really catchy, without it becoming really bizarre away from your message. It has to be in alignment with your message. And we'll learn that again with some of the subject matter we'll cover today. But I just want you to right now leave yourself, once you have that focus keyword phrase, I want you to leave yourself very flexible in the search to be able to be open to a lot of different possible titles. A lot of different possible titles that are in alignment with the topic. And I also would encourage you to brainstorm with Keba, because she is a stress management expert. I mean, that's how we met her. I'm sure you're probably still doing that, Keba, but I remember you wrote the book on it. You wrote the book on stress management. So she's got 3 books on stress management. So she's got a tremendous grasp on your target market. And she would be able to help you getting some of that languaging, the topic and the titles that people are interested. Okay, there we go.
How do I get in touch with Keba?
You guys if you go on chat, you guys can privately chat there. But I just wanted to add something very quickly. So when I did your search on work-life balance, first of all, that is a key hot. I mean, everybody's searching that, right? But that it is blase. But one of the phrases that come up is work-life integration. Mm-hmm. And then I think exactly what Ray was saying, or I believe, I'm not sure who had chimed in, if it was Susan, but having your target market, that's always the key. So if it's for career women, if it's for moms, is it for, that once you say, for instance, like the stress management, what Keba is doing, if you do stress management for the busy working mom, it becomes very targeted. And for those careers, for those media, what I'm thinking about is you would time it along, let's say holidays, so like Mother's Day, or as it's getting close to the holidays, everybody's crazy. So you would be an awesome pitch to those networks or to those podcasts or to those shows to start giving tips on, it's not really about, it's just about integrating your life, the holidays or whatever the hot topic is that the media executives are looking for. So like Ray was saying, right now, let's just do a broad search. And as you're looking, because work-life balance it's so broad, but that is what people are from the corporate events when they're looking for a speaker. It's going to be work-life balance genre, if you will. You just need to differentiate yourself as the work-life balance, for women executives, or, whatever that has to be for you to pitch that particular market. So that's my 2 cents.
And Karen, Keba has left her contact information in group chat and also placed a message in there that she says, can Karen use something flip like, beat your crazy while juggling career and home life? Okay, I love that. That grabs my attention. Beat your crazy while juggling career and home life.
Can I share something, Ray?
Yes.
For you, Karen, something that pops up out of my mind is when you think about unbalanced life, it's what's the meaning of having an unbalanced life? What survival need is being missed of a woman that wants at the same time to have a career and at the same time having a home that's decluttered, that's clean, that's healthy for her family and for herself. What does it mean because people have three kind of problems. That the external problem, it's having the unbalanced life. But if you dig deeper at the core level, they have an internal problem. It's that having an unbalanced life is making them, struggle, lose maybe their self-esteem or their confidence or things like that. And it answers to another problem that's a philosophical problem. What philosophical problem it is posing today in our society where women have to work as much as men when before they didn't have to. And it's a societal problem that today we have to answer. So if you answer these problems, what is the root core of the problem, you will speak directly to the survival need of the women that have this problem. And you have to speak to the emotional behind the problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's my take.
Great, thanks, Will. I'm going to check in with Susan to see if she is available to
Yes.
share. Okay, great, Susan. Please share your focus keyword phrase.
Okay, so I have a similar topic, but mine is along the area of selfish success leadership. So it's focusing on leaders, business leaders, who are able to put themselves first in their business as well as their outcomes. So in other words, leaders often lose themselves. It's part of the imbalance as well. But here, to be a good leader of influence, to make appropriate decisions and so on, is putting themselves back into the mix. And it includes health and well-being for the results of the business as well as the leader. So I haven't done enough searching on the keywords there, but that's the next step.
Okay. Does anyone have anything to add to help Susan become clear on a focus keyword phrase? What's your passion, Susan? How do you want to change the world?
I want to change the world by having leaders who are more compassionate, who put their heart into the business, who bring love to the work, and also don't lose themselves in the process. I think that's what's happening a lot with burnout, is that the work becomes much more important than themselves, and nobody really gains from that. Okay.
Start with a very general keyword, leadership, and look for all the long tail extensions off of that term, leadership. And once you identify one that becomes a focus keyword phrase, begin to do research on that phrase and see where it takes you. This is where I ask people to go down the rabbit hole, because if you're not clear on that focus keyword phrase, it's difficult to move forward. So just start with leadership. and notice all what's coming up on Google's first page. And if you just continue to click, 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 there may be compassionate leadership. Who knows? I haven't done the research, but it may be. So Maria's doing something. So compassionate leadership, there may be a market for that, but explore. At this point, you just want to do a lot of clicking, a lot of digging deep to come up with that topic that you want to build all of your messaging around. Does that help?
That does help. I actually have given a talk on what happens when you bring love into business and how it changes the culture, sales and customer service, and all aspects of business, team involvement, collaboration, and so on. So I want to incorporate that as well. So I've got a lot of probably searching to do around that area.
Well, I just did a bunch of searches and just with the Google keywords, and just so that you know, Susan, when you're going to the corporate environment, which you probably already doing this, they're looking for tangible strategies, right? Or something that they can measure. So when you're putting things like why compassionate leadership is the best business strategy, if you do a search, these are the topics that came up. The business benefits of being a compassionate leader, compassionate leadership. So when you are putting the benefits to, whether it is a happier workplace and thereby giving better customer service, thereby, creating a better bottom line for your company, those are all key things. And then here are some of the strategies to incorporate into your current corporate structure to create compassionate leadership. And from the compassionate leadership will then trickle down into, the employees, etc. So you are onto something here. People are looking for that. I see companies actually bringing in speakers, looking in that area.
Thank you. I actually have research and a lot of statistics on how it contributes to the bottom line.
Very good.
So I've got like the facts to back it up.
That's even more perfect, because when you're going to pitch as a speaker or as a consultant to that company, first of all, if they already see why it's important to create a more compassionate culture environment, that's great. But if you have the backings that people they love numbers, right? Companies love numbers.
Yes.
So if you do that and they're presenting then your talk and then how to incorporate, what does incorporating love mean? What does, whatever your steps are. And also I would encourage you, start putting together, whether it's short little blog posts. Here are the findings. Here are the numbers for creating a more compassionate culture in your company. And as you're creating this little tiny blog posts and, social media it out and then link it back, I would send it to those influencers in those areas that you're looking to get in front of. And what happens is they're going to start seeing that a little over and over and over. And then the next thing you know, they're going to bring you in to speak. They're going to bring you in to consult, etc.
Thank you. Now, when I gave my talk, I started out in the title with the word love, but much of it, I use words like connect and compassion and, connection and compassion, things like that, because love is not necessarily a turn on for people in the business world. So I've got to really find what the right words are to use that captivate people.
Always remember when you're doing a corporate pitch, when you're using words like love, even though that is the base of it, it's hard for them to take it to budget to say, we're going to bring in somebody to speak about love.
Right.
But when you're able to say compassionate leadership, because this is what's happening with customer service, the benefits.
About benefits.
Yeah.
They're only interested in the bottom line and the benefits. So speak about that. Give them what they want. And then once you're there, give them what
True. Talk about love.
Yeah.
They can't kick you out at that point, and it's all part of the talk.
Yeah, well, I mean, the statistics I have show that productivity goes up, that customer engagement goes up, sales go up. So there's all the bottom line ROI information. It's really sort of how to talk about it so that people say, yeah, we want that. We want to bring that in.
I would say start with the pain, because people are driven by avoiding pain before getting pleasure. the first emotion that we want to avoid is pain. Before getting love and before getting pleasure, we want to avoid pain. So something you shared really quickly, you said they want to avoid burnout. So I would give, for instance, something and speak about 5 tips to avoid burnout. And avoiding burnout, that because workaholism brings to burnout. And if you avoid burnout, you will have more productivity, you will have more business culture, and you will have a better business. You know, if you start with the pain, what's the most painful for people, that's what they're really they're going and they're ready to pay for. Love is too general, but if you speak directly to the pain, that is going to be a good trigger.
Well, thank you. I'll just say one last thing. I mean, one of the main statistics is, I can't remember the number, but something like 60 to 70% of people don't like working where they work because they don't like their bosses. They don't like how they're treated. So that's like a big pain point for people is they just don't feel like they're cared for.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then it spills over to the customers and everybody else across the whole organization and outside.
Yeah. You're definitely on the right track, Susan. Do a deep dive on this. You're going to get a lot of stuff coming up that's going to resonate with you, and just work from this point on, get very clear on that topic, and then apply it to what we're about to learn. I'm going to provide us a little slideshow for you now to give you some homework that we can take away from this. And then I also have a couple of short videos that I will include in the replay of this. So watch for the replay later and come back to this, and then you will have at the bottom of that replay page some links to watch a couple of, actually, you know what, I'm gonna have to play them now. I just realized you're not gonna be able to watch those unless you have a Lynda account, which is the LinkedIn Learning now.
Ray, we got one more person that I don't want to leave out, is Keba. So we got to get Keba.
Oh yeah, okay, come on, Keba.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. You're muted right now, Keba. There you go.
Power. I have unmuted myself. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I've been at whatever it is I do for 30 years, and now we're in the fantastic age of social media, which is really great. And I usually talk to people about how to trade in your stress for energy and personal peace. If I'm talking to people one-on-one, my target audience is very serious, usually very intelligent professionals. And when I meet them one-on-one, I say, bring your stress, pain, and fatigue to my office and leave it there. Because I actually have healing skills. I do a lot of energy healing. But if I'm speaking to a group of people that might hire me as a speaker, I just talk about my programs that teach you how to trade in your stress for energy and personal peace. And then I have another role on the planet, which is that I am an ordained minister, and I teach spiritual skills. And so my last 2 books are Inspirations for Peace Within and Sacred Meditation, Embracing the Divine. Those are both just freshened up in the last 4 months. And I have a book that's been on the market for a dozen years, and it's called Discover the Secret Energized You. Because at that moment, American culture was besotted with energy. People were so stressed, they were just sick of their own stress, and they didn't want to use the word stress. They got more stressed from hearing the word stress. So I wrote the book about how to trade in your stress for energy as an energy book. And I have a new one coming up that I think I can get done in 4 or 5 months. And I think that's the one that is going to take me to a high media level. I have to ask either that I don't share the title here or that everyone commits that they will not repeat it, because it's different.
Okay.
So it's a flippant title that will grab people, and I can get my message out there that we can shift what we're doing to trade our stress in for the energy, the personal peace, and the quality of life that we're all looking for. So I boil that down to trade your stress for energy and personal peace. Now, how do you focus that?
That's the title? That's the title?
No, that's the expression that I use.
Okay.
When I'm marketing.
Okay.
Like if I'm in an author's meeting and everybody has 30 seconds to say what kind of work they do, I say I write inspirational nonfiction about how to trade in your stress for energy, find your peace, personal peace, and for those who are interested, how to become closer with the divine. Of course, I don't talk to corporations about that last piece.
Yeah, right. That's so that, as everyone knows here, is often referred to as the woo-woo market. We know that it scares a lot of people away, but it also attracts a lot of people. So, which is okay, right? You want to scare the wrong people away, and you want to attract the right people. So when you're putting out a title like that, just be sure that you're presenting it into the right market.
That's what I was going to ask. Who is your target market right now? If I was to take you and position you in front of media outlets or magazines or what, who's coming to you, Keba? Who are you trying to reach?
I'm most interested in reaching really smart, really committed, stressed out professionals.
Okay.
People are welcoming stress all the time. And part of the fun of my talks is that I show people how they are welcoming stress, embracing stress, imbuing stress, storing it in the body in very specific ways all the time. And they need to laugh at that and turn it around and start using different strategies. So they're going to trade in their current strategies.
So Hala?
So stress isn't all bad. So you could always take that into a turn too. You know, people think of stress as, oh my God, it's always bad. No, stress is also a good thing too.
Yes, and the ideal distillation of the word stress to me is to call it focus. Like we say, well, the president gave a talk today and he stressed this, right? Well, he said what he thought was important at that moment. And we need to give up stress as a positive thing. Stress as a negative thing. Stress as a positive thing. Stress as something with inherent value to it, and look at it as focus. What are we focusing on?
What is your challenge, Keba? So exactly.
My challenge is that I do more than people are expecting, and I need to guess. You've heard of elevator speeches. If I get into an elevator and somebody's going to the same conference I am, they say, oh, what do you do? I have to quickly guess whether I'm speaking to somebody who might want my spiritual 15 or 16 seconds or my corporate 15 or 16 seconds. And then I give them that, and we see how it lands. But I've gotten, in my individual practice, I've gotten 100% of my clients from personal contact, from one-on-one, from face-to-face marketing.
Very good. Okay, I'm going to go to a screen share right now and do a little bit of a presentation. I'll go through it swiftly. I would like to play the videos for you. There's a 2-minute video and a 6-minute video. May bring us a little bit over our scheduled time. Does anybody have to leave early, or if we need to extend maximum of 15 minutes longer, let's say no later than 11:30, are we going to lose anybody if we go up until 11:30? Just need to know. Or will you all still be with us?
Okay.
Okay.
And Keba, I'm going to do a little bit of research because you do offer separate items to the two different markets. So that's going to be your challenge. So I'll work with you on that, okay?
Thank you, Maria. Appreciate it.
All right, give me a thumbs up if you're clear on the assignment. Scripting and the storyboarding, the 3 questions, the 3 responses. And now I'm going to add an additional challenge for those that really want to be the, they want the go-getters that want to come loaded next week with a lot of ammunition. Remember, I said pick one showcase and build your 3 questions off of. So that could be a success showcase, could be a business showcase, could be an expert showcase. I want to challenge you over the next week. Once you do your first one, I'm challenging you to do 2 additional showcases. So pick from the list of 10, pick 3 that you would like to prepare Q&A for. Because what we will do in practice is we're going to focus on the one main one, but if you're up for the challenge in practice, you could certainly toggle between a couple of topics. The reason I want you to do this, because I want you to realize that once you start doing media interviews, there will be a number of different topics that you're going to want to present in the media. It's not just going to be one. We start with one so that you learn the formula. Once you learn the process, you can rinse and repeat the process to infinity. And all you just do is pick a different showcase, pick a different topic. But the formula is always the same. Whoa, we're getting some serious typing going on. Somebody's got their... Maria, is that you typing?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, okay, you're just completely, there's like an earthquake coming through right now. Okay, so on that note, thanks everyone. Feel free to reach out during the week if there's anything that you want clarification on. And good luck. Enjoy the process. We're so looking forward to next week because it's going to be so much fun just getting right into doing interviews with each other and getting all that practice. I'm also going to cover a lot of things like how to look your best on camera. I'll give you lots of little tips on just, positioning and looking at the 3 V's, the visual, the vocal, and the verbal that make up for a good media interview. Okay? Everyone good? Right on. We'll see you next time.